there's going to be a title on the line. Jonathan Haggerty is going to defend against Superlek. Do you want the winner of that fight?
Superlek, Jonathan Haggerty, may the best man win. Best luck to both of yous. I'm next. I am next. I'm undeniable.
We are joined by Nico Carrillo. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you are 4 fights into your one championship adventure. 4 knockouts. Stoppages.
Yes.
And it's looking like you're pretty close to... I'm going to try and lead in with this straight off the bat. Your next fight, in theory, should be for the title.
Well, I'm glad we started on this because it is no longer a theory, it is a fact.
Yes, and it is?
24th of January, Impact Arena Bangkok, Superlek.
That is the...
And is that a first? Is that breaking news here?
It is.
Oh.
I mean, by the time this goes live anyway, I'm pretty sure that it should be out. If not, fuck.
So I work with Premi. You had pads with Premi, and he'd mentioned it, and I was like, oh yeah, because that's something that you've been looking to get closer and closer to. Like you beat, is it Nongo, who was a guy you used to watch growing up in your career, and then now you stop him, and then in theory, as we said, it should be next in line for a title, and then you get it.
Well, I was meant to be next in line anyway after I beat Nongo, and then Superlek wasn't even at 145, he's at 135, and he just jumped the queue and just fought for the title. But fair enough, because he then won it. He knocked Haggerty out in 50 seconds.
Pretty vicious stoppage as well, eh?
I mean, it was, but I mean, Haggerty done most of the work for Superlek. All he had to do, take his head out the centre line and...
So am I right saying there's a bit of beef with you and Haggerty?
I mean,
and I've seen some back and forth, but it's not like we see in MMA where it's full on like it's a lot more respectful. But reading between the lines, it seems like there's a bit of a rivalry there. Would that be right?
Of course, there's a rivalry. There is a rivalry, but for me, it was he had what I wanted, and it's a gold. He no longer does, so I don't really give a rat's ass about him.
So he's not relevant.
I mean, right now he's not. And I said this way before, when Superlek jumped the queue, it was never about, I want to fight Haggerty, I want to fight Haggerty. Everybody wants to see that fight, but that's what it was never about that for me. It was, I want the gold. And it was always whoever has it is where my full attention will go to. And that's still, and now it's Superlek, so that's my full attention.
So, sorry, on you go.
With the title changing hands, what fight are you, let's say, more looking forward to beating?
Well,
because they both bring totally different.
So both exactly the same, right? But Haggerty, because of there was a bit of beef in the whole Scotland v England matchup, all that, right? But then with Superlek, he's never been stopped in like 300 plus fights. He's never been knocked out. He has got the #1 ranking for pound striker in the planet right now. So then I go and beat him, and you cement my name in history, do you know what I mean? So there's a big thing for beating both of them, but right now beating Superlek is way bigger than beating Haggerty.
And obviously it has to be your priority because it's a signed agreement. You can't even think about Haggerty.
No,
really, eh?
absolutely. Like I said, it wasn't the opponent, it was always the gold. Whoever's carrying that gold is always where I was focused on.
I always thought Haggerty might be someone that one would try and build a rivalry with and maybe end up with a sort of, maybe even a trio of fights, like a bit of back and forth. Like I feel like one would like that type of rivalry to come more into the European market. Well,
I think that's why I didn't get the fight. I feel like that's why I didn't get the fight, because they were trying to build it. I don't feel like it needed built anymore. It's the biggest fight of the UK's history for Muay Thai ever. Now, tomorrow, next year, and the year after. So we can fight each other now. I'll fight him again next year. I'll fight him again the year after. It will still always be the biggest fight until the next person comes through the UK. And does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I know our comment sections are going to be filled with questions about Haggerty. Like that does seem to be and I'll be honest, it was Haggerty that got me into ONE FC. I remember sitting there.
I watched Haggerty when before I was signed, and do you know something? I was always a cheerleader. I was always cheering for him. I was always clapping for him because I support my own UK, Scottish, English. I support my own. I always have.
Same every time.
And I've always clapped for other people until it was my turn. That's always where I've been. I've never been envious of anybody. I always knew that I would get there, so I'll just clap and wait for my turn.
Well, I was just scrolling through YouTube one day, seen one FC's on during the daytime, and seen this 4-ounce glove tie, and thought, "Fucking hell! Like this is
fucking
this is mental." How so? Why is it not as like, I love it. I love watching it. I sit down, I watch it with my son. Anytime it's not, I can't miss an opportunity to watch this. Do you feel it's finally starting to gain a bit of traction in the UK now? Because I feel it should be far further on. It's a very exciting sport.
It should be further on than it is, but it is moving forward, and there's only positives in that. For example, speaking to people now, it's like everybody knows the UFC now. And how niche of a sport that Muay Thai is, I feel that when I'm talking to more and more people, they know it won championship out. And I don't know if it's because they know me and because I'm fighting on my championship and they follow me. And then I'm getting there now. I don't know if that's why, or like it's just becoming more popular in the UK. Whatever one it is, I'm happy that it's getting the attention it deserves. Absolutely,
because it's a very exciting sport. But I was actually watching some of your fights last night, and my missus is on the couch, and she was like, "This is fucking brutal," and I'm like, "Aye, but this is what people want."
You don't play at Muay Thai, do you?
No, there's no way. Like you can't. It's that car crash TV sometimes because you're like, somebody's going to go here, and it was your fight with Nongo. Your leg is getting smashed up, and it's you were getting to a stage where. If I already knew what happened, but you're watching this thinking, he's not going to go on here. No. If it was the first time you'd watched it, you'd be like, to go through that, start having to switch stances, and even in between the rounds, you think like, how's he going to gut this out?
I've been told, like, it's funny people saying it to me because I never think of it as people watching it. I just, obviously I'm the person like in it. But I was speaking to somebody recently and they were saying, oh, when I was watching it, I was like, had a tear in my eye watching it. And I was like, it's quite cool to hear that. But all I needed was a wee break. I got back to the corner and my coach told me to switch a game plan. He said, switch your stance. He said, he's really confident now because he has hurt your leg. His hands are going to drop with the confidence, and it's exactly what happened. As he was coming in to try and kick out my back leg now because I switched the stance, I put his guard down as he done it and elbowed him. Because at the start I was throwing haymakers at him, and obviously I'm a lot bigger, so he's thinking, oh, I need to defend really tight. As he gets more confident, oh, I've hurt him, the hands start lowering. And my coach pointed that out, and it's exactly what happened. I just waited for it, and then that was the beginning of the end for him. As soon as I hit me that elbow, I just kind of rushed in, and that was it.
Do you think that was the sort of making of you for being a one championship star? Because you do have to take these big names.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I beat Muay Thai, which was huge as well, but it still wasn't even.
Them, eh?
I know.
It's not enough to decision these guys.
I agree.
Got to stop them.
I agree. I felt like my popularity kind of boomed after the Nongo fight.
What's that, 1 million views? 1 million plus views on YouTube.
Oh, aye.
It's well watched.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of negative comments towards you about the weight bully type of stuff.
I've got merchandise coming out.
Is it weight bully?
Yes, sir.
But your first fight against the Turkish guy, I've forgotten his name.
Furkan Karabag.
He's fucking probably bigger than you.
Well, actually,
he's a big guy.
Well, actually fought. So before I signed to one, I fought at 66 kilo. Right, that was the weight I fought at. I won my world titles at 65 kilo, at 66.6, and I won one at 70 kilo. So when I first signed to one, I wasn't sure about the whole hydration stuff and all that, and I was para when I first signed, and I was like, I don't want to fuck it up. I don't want to get in here and mess it up and get booted right back out. I've worked all my life to get to here. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? The first fight, I'm going to fight at the higher weight, just to be sure. So once I got to Bangkok and I done the weigh-in and I understood behind the scenes and how it all worked, I was like, piece of piss, I can go back down and fight at the weight I've always fought at. So Furkan was a 70 kilo guy. I knocked him out.
Aye.
My weight is what I actually fight at now.
So there's a lot of people talk about the one hydration stuff. Are you able to shed a bit of light on this and your own opinions on it? We obviously in the UFC we're used to mega weight cuts. We're used to 10 kilo weight cuts. I didn't want you to divulge anything private.
The weight cuts is for me. It's in my opinion, it's just the same as anything else. It's everybody's still cutting the same amount of weight and
still doing the same things.
Pretty much,
it's part of the sport.
It is.
It's pretty much, and that's all I'll say on camera.
That's fair enough.
What's it like fighting in the Far East? Like, they're very respectful.
Oh mate, it's amazing. Like, see, the thing is like, when you're coming up in Scotland fighting in all the scenes, it's only your pals that are there to support you, right? And once, for example, somebody fights, the full arena,
empties,
Lagoon Centre, whatever it is, it empties. Whereas when you're over there, they are fighting fanatics. They aren't going, like, they are going to watch certain people, but they're going to watch every single fight. Like, over here, change the channel, football's on. Over there, Channel 3's Muay Thai, Channel 7's Muay Thai. Like, that is their number one sport. Do you know what I mean? And so when they're going to stadiums, they are staying till the end. They're watching every fight. They are fighting fanatics, like serious fight fans. And it's amazing. Not also that, but they're the kindest people. And I mean it. They're just, it doesn't matter where you come from. See, if you fight hard, you will earn the Thai fans' respect. Like, you can go out and Thais are so for their own. They'll always cheer for the Thais, always first. But see, if you're putting in a good performance and whatever, you end up knocking out Nong-O, you've got 6,000 people screaming your name at the end, and you've just beat their hero. They just love.
They're there to be entertained.
Aye,
that's it.
That is it. Literally,
that is good.
That is it.
So do you live in Scotland?
I live
full time.
I live in Glasgow. I live.
What stops you living in Thailand?
My wee dog.
Your dog?
My dog.
I thought you were going to say like your wee boy or something.
No, mate, she is my wee girl, mate. Nah, my dog. Honestly, I love my wee dog. And I've got a mortgage here and stuff. That doesn't really stop me, but I love home. I love mountains. I love Scotland, and I love the people around me back here. Now, if one offered me, I'll give you 4 fights next year, 5 fights next year, then 100% I would move out there for a year, 2 years, 100%. But for me, it's not, and it never will be, home. I am mad patriotic about Scotland, and I absolutely love the place, and it's home for me.
Yep. Craig was doing a bit of research on you, and he says you watch something before you fight.
Yes, Braveheart.
You watch Braveheart?
Yes, every fight.
Just gets you pumping, doesn't it?
Mate, absolutely. Even better when we're fighting English. Honestly, I absolutely love it. It doesn't matter who I'm fighting. I'll always watch Braveheart before every fight. Probably the day before the fight, or while I'm cutting weight or something, I'll always watch it. And I'll probably watch it another 5 times in a year after that anyway. So, what
is it about the film? Is it just that whole patriotic thing? Like,
aye, mate.
Did you see that speech when he's standing?
Oh, mate,
it gives you, even thinking about it now, it gives me goosebumps. Like, him walking up and down that line.
Every time. That speech alone is, fuck, it's amazing. It's goosebumps. And it makes you proud to be Scottish. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So you were, am I right in saying, 15 years old when you started going to Thailand?
Aye.
What was that like? Because being pretty young, coming from Glasgow, built up area, a lot of crime, a lot of fights, a lot of gangs, and then you go out there and it's a totally different lifestyle. What is it like?
And it's sunny.
It's
fucking sunny.
The most important one, mate, honestly, it was just crazy. Such a young guy going over to the other side of the world, and you're legal to do everything. Literally, you go into a shop. After a fight, we went to the clubs. I was in clubs at 15 years old over there and stuff. The culture, what I loved about it was the culture change. So over here, it's obviously Protestant, Catholic, it's fuck the Pope, fuck the Queen. Over there, it's all unity. Everybody follows the one thing. They all love the one thing, their king. They all idolise him. The Buddhism as well, it's like, they don't follow a god, but it's Buddhism is a way of life, a way that you should live your life. So with small means, like, you don't need a lot of money to be happy. Just have good morals, treat everyone with respect, just stuff like that. And you go over at such a young age and you come back and think, what a fucking hellhole this place is. And I know I speak about it now, saying home, and I'd love it, and I do because I built.
But we've cultivated our own thing here.
Exactly. So my home now is my small group of people and my house, and when I go to the gym and when I go to the mountains, and I don't really do much else. So that's what I love about here. But obviously at 15 I was still hanging about gangs, and I came back and I was like, this place is fucking hell next to...
It'll drag you down.
Aye.
And is that what was a turning point for you, do you think?
A turning point for me...
Because we know I know a couple of stories as well. So
and it's probably that story. So a turning point, I don't mind speaking about it now. For a long time I couldn't speak about it. And it was probably my ego. I didn't want to ever let him like feel like he done one up on me or anything. But, you know, now I feel like when you speak about things, it only builds your character and makes you stronger. So a turning point for me was getting stabbed when I was 19 years old. And I remember lying in a hospital bed. Actually, before I went to the hospital, I remember kind of bleeding out. And I remember thinking to myself, I've done fuck all with my life. I remember there's two things I thought about. One was my fiancée, Amy. I thought, oh shit, I'm going to lose her. And the second one was, I'm not ready. I was so scared to die. And I remember thinking, I've done fuck all with my life. And
here I go.
And that's it. And after coming out of that is what kind of pushed me on to forget where I was and get into new environments and be more professional and do this, just do the right things. All the cliche bullshit, but it's true. You need to change your environment, you need to change the people around you, etc, etc.
So you were still training, you were fighting.
I was very good. I was shit hot. I was fucking still on the Scottish circuit beating everybody, but after fights my problem is I would go out and indulge in the gang scene still.
Still had the same group of friends.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, they're maybe still your friends now, but you have to keep them at arm's length. You can't go out on a Saturday night with these guys.
No.
I've for sure got similar friends who I wouldn't mind spending a bit of time with them, but you can't really.
Chaos.
Well, the thing is they're doing the exact same stuff that we were doing when we were 17 and 18.
Right. And they're 35 now. My friends.
So it's the same thing, doing the exact same thing, sitting in kitchens.
Absolutely.
All weekend. Hate Monday to Friday. They're just existing just so they can get that weekend again. And for me, that's no a life.
And what was it stopped you speaking about this before? Why did you keep this very private before? Like you said, you didn't want...
No, I know. I don't actually know. I just felt like embarrassed that it happened, and I know who it was that done it. So I never wanted to bring light on it. Like, but it's that ego speaking like that. Or like tit for tat. Like he was one up on me, and
you felt like you had to get one back.
Exactly.
Or you felt like other people would see you.
No, but that's exactly it. I felt like I still had to get one back, so I didn't want to. But then now I'm big on stoicism and stuff, and a big thing that Marcus Aurelius says and stuff is they talk about revenge and forgiving people. They say that iron and gold is very heavy, but so is hate. In seeking revenge, that will weigh you down just as much as fucking it. Do you know what I mean? Like having iron and gold strapped to you, that will weigh you down just as much. So as hard as it is,
you got to let go.
You just need to let go.
Break that cycle.
Exactly, mate. Exactly, and it's a hard thing to do, but once you do it, there's a lot of growth in it. There's a lot of growth doing that.
Do you think it's helped?
Absolutely.
Aye.
Absolutely.
And obviously, look at what you've got now.
Exactly. Listen, I could have tried and got one back up, and I could have ended up in jail. I could have
probably
ended up in worse places.
Aye.
So it's about also thinking of that. You know what I mean?
You've got a lot to lose.
What happens here if I do this? What happens if I so on? And that's just the way you need to think.
It's pretty mature at the age of like 19 and 20.
Especially when you're still in that life.
And people, the thing I always found hard about that was when I was still very close with these guys is they still talk about it. Still go,
mate, talk about the same shit, mate. And gaffs, remember that time we chased down, we done that.
The group chat just goes all the time.
Peace, man.
Or guess who I just saw? Blah, 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 and mate, it starts again.
I bumped into a very good friend of mine, bumped into me. No, he came down to my fiance's cafe, had a wee coffee and all that, and I hadn't seen him for a while. He was like, I was at a dancing at the weekend and we bumped into him, and I was looking at him and I was like, you're boring me. That's what I said to him. I said, bro, you're draining the energy out of me. And he actually said, mate, I'm sorry, you don't need to hear this shit.
But then see if this guy is looking for the fights. There's places there where you can go and fight and you can do it. Like, you don't have to go to a nightclub, you can go to a gym.
Exactly.
And you can get humbled in there.
No, mate, aye, but they don't want humbled.
No.
It's the ego of fucking being the man, the alpha when you're out in the fucking party scene and that, innit?
But it's because there's so little already. So there's nothing to cling on to except being the man of your shit group of friends in your shit area.
It's being a fucking king in a very small pond, innit?
Exactly. Aye. But we've got obviously this big fight looking forward to now. We've kind of turning our back on that type of nonsense, you would say.
Absolutely.
So what's your current contract with one?
It's a 6-fight deal, but as soon as I win this title, that'll get ripped up.
Aye.
And it will be the champion's contract.
You're just dead set. So like with this fight, like you say, he's never been stopped. But you're seeing this quite clearly. I can tell by the way you're talking about it. You're just going out there and stopping him.
Absolutely. Yes, I have said a lot of things in the past and I put my neck out there. Excuse me. Every time. But, you know, there's confidence and belief that comes from doing things, like saying that you're going to do things and you go out and do them. You know what I mean?
And obviously your 4 stoppages previously, like, did you go in still thinking the same thing? Were you going into, like, your first fight on one? Are you going into that?
The first fight in one, I was always happy with just a win.
That's what I mean.
I was just happy with a win. Like, I really just wanted to get my wee toes in the fucking, in the water and just winning. But, and then it was more than a win. And then I was like, I've just knocked out the guy at the bigger weight. So, pretty sure that I'm going to keep doing it at my natural weight. And then obviously the 3 knockdown ruling around and stuff like that. Do you try and jump on that during the fight? Like, are you thinking, right, I've knocked him down once, I'm just going to I'm going to go in here and get this fit. Like, how are you, when you're thinking about stopping opponents with a different rule set, I should say, obviously we can like get people doing and pound them out or submit them. Do you have to think, like, I didn't want to fucking shoot my load here trying to get him down a second time? Like, or are you conscious of the time because again, shorter rounds? Like, is there a strategy into planning how you're going to stop these fights? Does that question make sense? Like, have I worded that properly? It does make sense. I think that once you hurt someone, for me, I always speak about.
Could you jump on them when they're hurt?
Absolutely. So the confidence comes from doing things that you have already done. So the bigger the dragon you have to slay, the more evidence you have that you can slay the next one. So when I'm in fights, anytime, and this is from a younger me, anytime that I have fought someone and hurt them, they've never survived. That's my stats. So I know when I hurt someone, like I said, it goes back to building that confidence. I know that I've done that before, so I know that I can do it again. So once I hurt someone, I know that they won't survive. Now, with that being said, it's not just rushing in. It's obviously being careful, being cautious when you come in. Some people, like I learned a lot about myself against the Nongo fight, that I'm very a badass anyway, but I'm also even more badass when I'm hurt. Like an animal, you need to be careful. They're even more dangerous when they're in danger. So you also have to be aware of that philosophy also works for other people, that they can be more dangerous when they're in trouble. So when you're approaching them, you need to still be very defensively tight, etc.
I'm actually thinking that, was it the Nongo fight? You ate quite a nasty straight left.
That may have been Samapet. That was Samapet.
It was a full fucking like, like you see your head full whiplash back.
So I was on one leg when it happened. I threw an inside low kick and I threw the first one good and I threw the second one up to set up something else, but because I sacrificed that shot to throw something else, he caught me while one leg was on the ground and I went to throw the inside low kick and he just came straight through the middle with the left.
And these exchanges do like sometimes turn into quite crazy, just he doing fuck, we're both going to have to go here. How do you stop yourself getting sucked in? Because there's a couple of times I've heard your cornerman screaming at you like. I
think there's a time and a place to do it and not to do it. And that probably, you know yourself, just comes with experience.
So when you watched, you said right at the start there with Haggerty, he did all the work.
Exactly. So let's say I go in it, I'll fight Super Leg. I'm not going to rush in the first round. It will be quite a cagey first round. I suspect, unless I do catch him, and then again, what I say is confidence comes from I know that no one I've ever hurt, and blah blah blah. Right, so it's the same thing. But yeah, I'm not going to start fast with Superlick.
But his KO with Haggerty doesn't phase you at all. You've not looked at that and went no. You almost dismissed it.
Absolutely, because it was a very simple pattern that Superlick exploited, and if he didn't exploit it, and I fought Haggerty first, I was going to exploit it anyway.
I think I actually watched something where you were talking. I put it on Instagram.
It was when he was fighting Lobo, and One Championship wanted me to do like a commentary over the fight, and I just kind of says, look at his footwork. The way he needs to generate power is he steps back into southpaw, he steps back into orthodoxy. It's very obvious what he's going to do. He's either going to step in with the right hand or he's going to throw a kick. You need to hit him when he's coming in, or you need to chase him when he's going out the stance. And then it's exactly what Superlick done. So I was like, I didn't expect it to happen in 50 seconds, but I was like,
not very shocking.
All right, I'll fight Superlick now, because I was going to do it anyway. So I wasn't surprised.
And your confidence obviously comes from all the work you put in the gym itself. But you watch a lot of boxers, watch a lot of Muay Thai.
I do.
And that then brings you confidence because you're mimicking them. Am I right in saying that?
That's literally how I have the style today that I have, because when I was younger, I was totally obsessed, and what I would do is I would watch all the greats. Now, when people say the greats, I think Muay Thai, but I watched others, so I would obviously Muay Thai as well, but I loved boxing, so I did, and I would always watch Floyd Mayweather. I would always watch Saul Canelo Alvarez, and what I would do is, when I was like kind of 15, 16, just getting better at Thai boxing, I would watch them, and I would, every time I go into the gym and spar, I say to myself, all you're going to do is what they done. So even if I'm taking leg kicks and all that, I'm still going to shoulder roll, and I'm just going to work on my boxing. And then the next day, I'm going to try and be like Mike Tyson, and I'm going to bob and weave, and I'm going to haymaker, and I'm not going to do any kicking. And then I would watch Sanchai. He's like the absolute greatest of all time when it comes to Muay Thai. And I'm going to try his style. I'm going to shuffle my feet and kick. Then I'd watch Pech Bunchu, who's the greatest clincher of our generation. And no matter where I was in sparring, I would just rush into the clinch. And that's what I'd done throughout my full career. I would just watch all these amazing people and emulate their style until you just shake it up and see exactly.
Who do you like watching just now?
Right now,
like, is there a specific fighter, if they were fighting tonight, you wouldn't miss them?
Canelo Alvarez.
You wouldn't miss a Canelo Alvarez fight?
Nah, probably not. I still big on boxing. Still big on boxing. Love MMA as well. And Thai boxing wise, isn't like for me. So when I'm watching the UFC or when I'm watching boxing, I just sit back as a fan and I enjoy the fight. Whereas I can't do that with Muay Thai. It's like
score it, critique it.
Or I would smash him, or he's on the come up, or I might bump into him soon. So I can't sit and like enjoy it. Whereas I'll sit and watch you fight, or I'd probably be on my seat because you're Scottish. So I'm like, but anybody else is like, I'll just sit back and enjoy the fight. Does that make sense?
Yep. Aye, definitely. It's good that you're able to do that as well. But the thing you're saying, I might bump into him down the road, I think that's quite an intelligent way to look at it.
Absolutely.
And probably having to, when you're the champ, you are going to have to strategically think about when you fight these people. Like we were talking about John Jones last week. Although he's probably the greatest ever MMA fighter, he still stacks the cards in his favour. And you have to be able to do that, or you don't be the champ for very long. Like you do better when you know how to sort of game the system, don't you? So if you look at Jones, he's seen somebody now like Tom Aspinall coming up and just like, well, what's the fucking point in fighting him? Like John Jones on his way out the door, Tom Aspinall's on the way up. Just avoid him. Obviously, you're right at the start.
Exactly.
So you're not going to be doing anything like that.
Exactly what I was about to say. I'm at the polar opposite end of that.
You're Tom Aspinall coming up.
Exactly.
Aye.
Exactly.
So you don't have to use that sort of, that level of weighting things in your favour yet. But there might come a time, like, I don't know how long you plan to do this, or like, is it you plan to
till the wheels fall off?
Aye, is that you? Till you can't do anymore?
What about the whole Alex Pereira moving over to MMA? And I've heard you talking about your clinch and your clinch work against you've been involved in BJJ and your clinch game works so well.
Aye.
Would you like to come over to the UFC? Obviously being a one champion, because that's what we're looking at. You're going to be a champion, you're going to run till the wheels come off that. Would you take a step over to the UFC, they offer you a nice contract, and go on that tier like Pereira?
I would like to say that if One Championship offered me the contract to fight MMA, that's what I would do. People always ask me about MMA, and my answer is never say never. Because I see people like Poatan who are, and even Izzy and all that, is people who when they get to like 32, 33 is when they start becoming champions. So I'm 25, I'm 26 tomorrow. Say for the next...
It's very young, eh?
Yeah, so say for the next 4 years, I go and I tear on One Championship and I keep the belt and I even go up to 70 and I get that belt, double champ status. I say to myself, I'm 29, 30, I could switch over to MMA and still have actually a really lengthy career. Now, I know there would be so much learning to do, but that's why my answer's never say never.
You're obviously quite open to learning.
Absolutely. Mate, in this world,
I can tell just by the way you're talking about stuff.
I love reading books and I love listening to podcasts and seeing. I'm from Scotland. I'm not very illiterate. I'm not very smart. Whenever I read a book and there's a word I don't know, I'll go on the internet. What does that mean? How can I use that in a sentence? You know, I'm just trying to get smarter. You know what I mean? So learning, you must learn, and that's in everything: English, craft, running, Thai boxing, jiu-jitsu, whatever it is. Learn.
Just try to improve across the board, eh?
Absolutely.
And it bleeds into everything else, doesn't it? When you start upping your game in one thing, you start to see your game come up in another, don't you?
Absolutely.
What book have you currently got going at the moment? Is it a personal development? Is it an enjoyable read? What is it you've got?
Never enjoyable reads. Always like personal development. Right now, I'm reading Peak Performance.
It's a good book. It's very science based, isn't it?
I'm big on that. I'm big on science based stuff. Because I'm a practitioner. I'm not the scientist who says study this and do this. I'm the person. I am the lab rat. So I am the practitioner. I'll read it and I'll go, I have experience in this. Does that make sense? Yep. So reading that right now, everybody knows I'm a massive David Goggins fan. His 2 books, absolutely loved them. I mean, you either love them or you hate them. I loved Ross Edgley's book, Resilience. Amazing, because again, he puts science and stoicism into his own philosophy.
He's very good, isn't he?
And I love how he does that. So,
do you do any fitness testing yourself? Do you have like a company, or do you go anywhere, go to a university and they fitness test you? So you've got all this baseline data.
So the last time I done it was last year. And funnily enough, that you asked that, is in the next week or 2, I'm going to get my RMR and DEXA scanning that done.
So that's your resting metabolic rate. That's the calories you use for doing no activity.
That's right.
And then from that, they can then put on activities. So if you're doing a 6 mile run, then this is how many calories it is.
Exactly. So it's from my nutritionist wants me to do that. But when I done it before, I actually went to see my lactate and VO2 max. The VO2 max machine broke while I was doing it. So that was unlucky.
You broke it?
Nah, let's say. But the lactate threshold testing was really good. So I'm definitely probably do that again in the next few weeks.
It's one of the things that made a massive difference, because we can guess, but it's better to know you've got information there and you're like, right, I know if I put my heart rate in this stage right here, then I'm going to get massive developmental gains. So
that's what I found with the lactate thing, is that the test that I done is I get to lactate quite fast, but I can sit in it for long periods of time before I actually switch over to threshold into the max. And what I found is that they tested and my heart rate is actually a lot lower than what it should be for your age. So they kind of going is your age minus, what is it, 220 minus your age. So I should be like 195 or something, and what they said was your heart rate is actually like 10 to 15 beats less.
Because you're an outlier, you're one of these guys that are just super athletic. And I guess
so your heart's a muscle. So it's the same as everything else you work, it gets bigger. So does your heart. So when your heart gets bigger, the less oxygen you need to take in and stuff to make it beat.
When you're training as well, and when you're going through these tests, it is nice to feel like you're getting somewhere. Because you can obviously feel like you're just repetitive training. Like I'm sure you train all the time.
Well, funny you say that. I seen a thing yesterday about this repetitive training, but greatness is built in the boring.
Right. That's a Goggins one, I think. Actually.
It's not a Goggins one.
The man we know.
I'm going to go.
I know. I fucking got Goggins quotes like this in the back of my head, mate. So greatness is built in the boring, and it's the stuff that people don't want to do, but it's the repetitions on the repetitions on the repetitions.
What's the one where it's like it's the work's actually made behind closed doors that nobody sees? Like I've butchered it, but it's like it's something to do with, it's the work that people don't see. It's not the stuff you put on Instagram. It's not the ones you see on the road running. It's the stuff that you do that people don't see. And that's
you've not butchered that at all. You've said it exactly how it is. So anybody listening, what they just heard makes perfect sense.
And the stuff people put on Instagram is usually their better work.
So
anyway.
I love the picture of the iceberg. Okay, and so
great analogy.
The water's here, the tip of the iceberg's here, and the rest of the iceberg's here. So what people see is in the ring, this part of the iceberg, you getting your hand raised. Woohoo! All right. What they don't see is underneath that water, underneath that dark blue misty water, the hard work, the sweat, the tears, the injuries.
Christmas is just around the corner. A knee injury is not just for Christmas, it's for life. Now, why not get yourself a knee brace for Anaconda and make that knee injury for life a thing of the past? Anaconda has got your back with unparalleled support, be it the knee brace that has the plastic inserts to make it more structured, which is not allowed in BJJ competitions. And if you're a BJJ practitioner looking to use the Anaconda brace in competition, they have a competition-ready one available. But this support has the lateral stability. It also has the straps to keep the knee nice and tight, and also has the little gel pad right at the front just to offer a little bit of support in case you're damaging the front on your knees. Anaconda has got your back for a whole host of issues, be it shoulder, ankle, knee, wrist, elbow. They've got you covered, as well as having some of the coolest rash guards and shots about. So why not get your Christmas shopping done early and go to Anaconda. Ross, how can we get these people?
You can get them at anacondafightwear.co. Right now you can get any 2 braces for $59. You can mix and match. Doesn't matter what you get. Doesn't have to be 2 knees. Be a shoulder, knee, elbow. Like you said, went through them all there. Put in leather 10 at the checkout for 10% off, and you can also get all the links in our bio.
As always, keep it Anaconda.
The sacrifice, the parties that you missed, the family events that you missed, the birthdays that you missed, the Christmases that you missed, the time with family that you missed. That's what they don't see. So they just see a little, they just see the good.
Aye.
But in all the good, there's so much bad and so much
moments,
much suffering. But in order to get that good, we must suffer. As Goggins says, at the other side of suffering is something beautiful.
One of the things, like, see after a victory, it's so short-lived for me.
Mate, it is the most anti-climax fucking thing ever.
It's depressing.
Mate. You get there because you climb, you're like, right, I'm nearly there. You get that victory, you get your hand raised, and by the time you go back to and you've done all your media, and the time you get back to your hotel or wherever it is, for me, it's pretty much done.
I'm the same, mate, because you're focusing on one thing for so long, and when it comes around, it's done in the blink of an eye, and it's just like deflating.
Well, for you, you've got a massive title fight coming up, and you already know that you're going to, this is going to crescendo to like the biggest moment, like what?
Absolutely.
But you know already there's going to be a drop off after. Do you think that makes you feel a bit?
It doesn't, because the drop off will be a big fucking 48-pound bit of gold around the ground, so it'll be better than the rest of them.
It'll be better than the rest of them. But then you just have to then you're the guy with the target on your back.
Exactly.
You're not targeting anyone anymore. Everyone's targeting you. That'll probably be a change in mindset.
I'm already starting to get called out and stuff now.
Aye.
So, yeah, it'll, and understand that once you're the champion, you have what everybody else wants. That's part of being a champion. They say that getting to the top is easy. Might I say it's not? It's not easy at all, but staying at the top is harder.
Very difficult.
And then, but again, like I say, you're fully focused on taking this off someone. Do you think that's an easier mindset to have than stopping someone taking it off you?
I think it is, because it's your first time.
Aye.
So it's you've never felt this feeling, you've never felt this goal, you've never been on the contract with these wages. Unfortunately, in life, when we get stuff, the novelty wears off, and it is a fucking terrible thing. That's why rich people always say, when it comes to money, you can never have enough money. Once you get this amount, you want more, so on. It's a fucking never ending wheel. I already practice this mindset of when I have it, that it won't be like that. Once I have it, I'll be more hardworking and I'll be more determined, and so on, so on. So I already look into the future and know that. Oh, I seen an analogy, and I think it was Bugsy Malone that said it about. I think it was Tyson Fury. When Tyson Fury fought Klitschko, that was all he dreamed of his full life, was that one moment. Then once he got it, he fell off the treadmill, and that was it. He plateaued. But for me, I've got this mindset of what's next. So see that treadmill, I'll never fall off the treadmill. I'll always have something in front of the treadmill, and I'll always be something chasing something. And I already practice this mindset, never to plateau, never be comfortable being where you are. In this world, you can always strive for better, and it doesn't matter where you are, you can.
So how far down the road are you setting goals? At the moment is obviously
all my mindset is on this £145 bill. Absolutely. But I put my neck out in the line. I put my neck out in the line, and I've said, once I win this, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and I will. But right now, that is all my focus is on that.
That's what I was meaning. Like, are you saying? And I don't mean looking through this fight, but
no. At
the same time, I don't think there's anything wrong with looking on. Do you know what I mean? So for me personally, I can't look past more than one thing at a time. No, I'm 100% focused on one thing, and then I can move on to the next. But I don't have a problem with people doing, like you alluded to there, being a double champ, saying, look, I'm going to win this title, and then here's how I'm going to go about winning another one. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm actually much the same as you, and I've said that in interviews a lot. I am a all eggs in one basket kind of guy.
Single-minded. Absolutely.
And that's how anybody in life who's successful gets successful, because they're really good at doing one thing and shit at doing everything else.
Where does this mindset come from? Do you have like a,
especially so young,
coach? Do you have a mentor? Do you have somebody?
Does it sound like that?
It just sounds like you've got something that most people want.
This is all just me.
You cultivate this yourself.
It's crazy. Like, you're 25 years old and you are so focused in one thing. And I don't think it would matter if you were a Muay Thai fighter, to being an F1 driver, to being a CEO. The way you talk about your goals and your reality, it doesn't matter what you'd be doing. You'd be a champion at it.
I appreciate that. That means a lot come from you. Thank you, mate.
They're almost definites rather than I'd like to's.
So again, it goes back to, I've got all these wee quotes for all things. The bigger the dragon you slay, the more evidence you have that you can slay the next one. And you can take that rule with anything you do. When you do something once, you get confident from it. Once you do it again, you can keep doing it. Do you know what I mean? So that's where my confidence comes from. Out with everything else I do in the gym, out the gym. You
have to work on it though. You can't just...
Absolutely. So I love this one. This is... I'm big on podcasts, and I'll take little notes of... It's things that stand out to me. So if I hear a quote and it's nothing, if I hear a quote and I'm like, oh, that's me, that means something to me. So one that I love is, if you've seen the podcast, Modern Wisdom, Chris Williamson.
That came off a mass suggested podcast today.
So I love listening to him, and he's got a friend, Alex Hormozy, and he says self-confidence doesn't come from shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having an undeniable stack of proof of saying you are who you say you are. And you know that quote speaks for itself. And this is what I keep saying, is that it comes from doing things, and I'm saying I'm doing them, and then I keep doing it, and I keep crushing these goals. And
so you're not even taking yourself by surprise when you hit these goals, like these big spectacular knockouts in one. You're telling yourself, this is what I'm going to do.
The work's done before that though for me. So I always say in interviews, like, so it's like Wednesday, media day, and one championship. Oh, how's Canada? I won this fight 2 weeks ago. I won this fight 3 weeks ago. I've been working so hard. See when that day clicks like in camp, you know it yourselves, like the hard work has been done. I've already won this fight.
Do these media days drag it out of you a bit over there?
It's after the fight they drag it out. It's like I've got people from Scotland over, and like they're waiting outside the stadium for an hour and a half because I need to get dragged into a room and answer questions before I can go out and actually enjoy my win. You know yourself, it's fucking brutal. But the funny thing is 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I would have dreamed to be where I am right now. And this is what I'm saying about once you get there, novelty kicks in. And so it's like, I get there now and I'm in these media days, and I was like, just maybe 12 months ago or like 18 months ago, I'd have been like, I fucking can't wait to get dragged in a room and all these cameras on me and everybody asking me questions, and now it's like,
and asking you for pictures.
I hate this. I hate this.
It's one of the worst parts of our job. You've got to sell yourself. You've got to sell your fight.
Absolutely.
What's the media like in the UK for being part of one championship? Is it building? Is it becoming the sport it should be?
I think so. A lot of the media, a lot of the Muay Thai, like it's all Muay Thai pages and stuff, they've always been about, but now one championship. When we get media days and stuff in the UK, one championship that have sent them to us. So
it's the companies like, because there was a point when I first started with the UFC, places like the BBC, the ITV, all these places did not want to have any connection with MMA or combat sports.
Right.
And it's only within the last, like, let's say the last 5-6 years that places like Sky Sports, TNT Sports are all interested in our sport now of combat. Yeah,
so I would say that the UFC have been ahead in that way for many years now. Now, one championship just this year signed the deal with Sky Sports. So I think maybe that, again, brings more light to the sport. I think that they absolutely had to do that. They have to mainstream it in Europe, they have to mainstream it in the UK, and they absolutely have to mainstream it in the US.
But Glory are selling out stadiums in Europe. So Glory Kickboxing.
Oh, aye,
got like obviously massive sellout stadiums for kickboxing. There is clearly like a big appetite for it in Europe. It just... what is it that's just needed to bridge that final wee gap? Do you think it's maybe the right personality, the right person? Like, are you maybe the person to bridge the gap?
Absolutely. So it's the right fight that will sell it out. For example, me and Haggerty, I think we would do well in not like a Wembley Stadium, but you know, the small one, it's like a 12,000 seater. I think we could possibly do that. They just sold out the Denver, Colorado in September, where Super League for Haggerty, that was packed. That was a sold out arena. So they definitely can do it in the US and stuff.
They just need to have more media, they need to have more people pushing it.
I feel like the only thing that one championship lack on is that, exactly, the media. So I love, again, boxing fan, MMA fan, I love going on YouTube and watching the embedded stuff. I'm a fighter.
We talk about it all the time.
I'm a fighter, but I'm also a fight fan. So I love to go into others' fighters' minds and how do they train and what do they do in their day offs. And I'll sit in fight camp, I'll sit and watch that for hours. That's all I'll do. Just sit and watch Embedded. But I also know that people would love to watch Embedded for me or for Jonathan Haggerty or for Super League. And I feel like that's the only thing that one are lacking on right now is that kind of stuff, like promoting
a more
fights
human imagery.
4 months out, 3 months out.
You see yourself as being the, I was going to say the sort of European face of one, but maybe even the face.
Well, I will be the face.
Aye.
I mean, it's hard to compete with Rodtang because it is such a big...
And he is their guy, yeah.
Yes.
Like Eastern, like Asia, like he's their guy, do you know what I mean? But for our side of the world, I would, absolutely.
Aye, I don't know if I did the right thing there, splitting that into a sort of Eastern and a Western, but
it is.
Aye.
But it is. But it is, and like, you're never going to be bigger than Rodtang in Thailand.
No.
Or Super League in Thailand, or Tawanchai in Thailand.
When you walk around in Thailand, do you get noticed there or more here?
It happens more there, but...
Like you say, they're fight fanatics,
But after the Nongo fight is when I've really started seeing it here.
Aye.
So, like, being in my car, out running, people tooting the horn, getting out their motors, and it's like...
It's a nice feeling, isn't it?
It is a nice... Because it's like...
Recognition.
It is, it's recognition. It is a nice feeling. People say, oh, do you think you'll ever get bored? Like if you ever get that big. People coming up to you and asking for pictures, and I'd be like, no.
It's part of your job as well.
Because it's also, I dreamed of days like that when I was younger. I can't wait to get that. And then when it starts coming around, it's cool.
Yes.
And it is that thinking back to like, I remember when I had fuck all money.
Exactly.
Like I remember when I didn't have anything. And it is hard to keep that, eh?
And also go back to the thing I said I was going to do that. So when it happens and people do it now, it's like a wee...
You've got to hold yourself to it almost.
It's a wee pat in the back, like, fuck's sake, you said you were, this would happen. You said this would happen one day and it's happening. So that for me is nice as well. Proving myself.
Do you like it when you're out and about in Thailand and people are stopping you and chatting? And
absolutely.
So do you come across there like, it never really, like you said earlier though, it never really seems like there's a bad guy. Do you know what I mean, to the Thais? They just want you out there fighting hard, performing. Like, do you ever get any, I don't want to say criticism for them or fucking, you beat our guy there, or
no,
or is it always good spirited? Is it always?
It's always good spirited, but like hate, everybody gets hate, and it's mainly on social media you're going to get it.
Right.
And the hate comes from you either really, really like the guy that I'm going to fight, and therefore you automatically get hated for that.
Or there's jealousy.
Weight bully. But then what you do...
Does the weight bully one annoy you?
No, not at all.
Right.
Because I wouldn't be bringing merchandise out and selling it.
I like
that annoy you.
I like that you're leaning into it.
Where can the guys get the merchandise? I know I've seen you're making a website.
Yeah, no, it's just on we just made a wee Instagram page right now, King of the North attire. My fiance's running that, and the t-shirts are coming in a couple of weeks. No, it's on Instagram. KOTN attire. We literally just made the page a few days ago. I have like a few hundred followers if we're lucky.
We will fire it in the comments, what would you call it, description. I couldn't think of what it was called there. We'll put it in the bottom and then you can fire into it.
I like the weight bully stuff.
Like, it's like when people, no, that's not it.
You're not doing too good. These are like shirts, man.
Go on my Instagram, it will be...
I'll find it. I'm gonna bring the phone out.
Anyway.
Aye. Let's put that in there.
So you're
when people like use it against me, brother, you can't use shit against me. It doesn't work.
You're using it as armour.
Exactly. That and anything in life, do that.
Is there somebody out there that's helped you in your whole adventure? Not mentally, but just, is there a guy, is there a person who you've been like, when shit goes wrong, he's a person or she's a person? Is there somebody like that in your life?
Somebody you can lean on if you had to. Absolutely.
I feel like I've not created, but I'll say the word created. I feel like I've created a circle of friends that I can go to absolutely any of them with my problems in just one hand. That's how many. Absolutely, my fiance's one of them. My best mate's one of them. My coach JP's one of them as well. And that's that. The other start, the question was, has anybody changed the way I process it? It was my strength and conditioning coach that kind of took me into this path of thinking differently. I don't know what it was, but training with him, it just sparked something in me. It had lighted something in me to do better. And so shout out to Ross McGaffney. He was a PTI in the Navy for, I think it was 10 to 15 years. So it was screwed up a wee bit different.
Yep.
I've seen your strength and conditioning coach going at people on social media who've said stuff about you before.
Aye, so
he's 100%.
A lot of the stuff that we done before was for the mental. All right, he's a great strength and conditioning coach, like very scientific for me. But before, years and years ago, when I was like 20, 21, there would be videos of me like crawling through tunnels in the freezing cold, and people are like, well, why the fuck? That's got nothing to do with Muay Thai. But you see, it does, because this is what fucking you see in front of you now, is why I'm so mentally strong, from doing shit that had nothing to do with Muay Thai. Exactly. That's part of that iceberg. Does that make sense?
I'm even just thinking now, not only are you going across having this title fight, but it's almost a completely different culture. It is a completely different culture. I'm not going to say almost. It's almost like another world. You're no just like you would go across and fight in the States, or at least culturally they're very the same. Like that's quite a big, I don't know, I'm just trying to break this down properly in my own head here. To go across to a place where the language is completely alien, like it's not even close. The people are very different. Everything's very different. does that almost give you a sort of, right, well, fuck it, we'll take them on then type of attitude?
No, again, such a boring answer. That's going to be. It comes from experience. I've been doing it since I was 15, so you just get used to it. You build relationships. So go to the same gyms.
You don't see it as an us and them thing. You just see we're all in.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Aye.
I see it as an us and them thing when it's my camp versus their camp.
Aye.
Then, but that only then.
But then that's like anything. It doesn't matter if it's Western against Eastern. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
English versus Scottish.
Scottish v Scottish. Not mean on the come up.
Aye.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? So
do you speak any language?
Nitnoy. That means
a bit.
That means a little bit.
A little bit.
I guess it's one of these things you have to pick up some bits and bobs, or
I can get about. I can order food. I can count. I can say like round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4. I can say all the limbs for fighting and hitting pads. I can get. It's good enough.
Sounds a tough language to learn though. It's no.
I actually took a few lectures on it. I done like 3 or 4 hours of a lecture on it's eating in life. See if you put all your eggs in one basket and do it, mate. It's the same as eating in life. Once you start going half in and half, then it's difficult. Honestly, if I said, right, I'm going to get a lecture 3 times a week for Thai, I think I could become fluent within a year if I put everything into it. And I think that's for everybody with anything in life.
I lived in Sweden when I was 18 and I learned fuck all.
That was probably fruit of your choice though.
Everyone spoke English where I was.
Exactly.
So I was just like, oh, well, this is easy. So everybody spoke to me in English. So I was just like, brilliant.
Perfect.
Chinna, that's it. Like, hiya.
You currently have a service where you can watch your breakdown fights and moves. And you will teach them. What is that? You want to talk a bit about that?
Yes. So we've built a community. It's on school. So it's not just a website where you go on. So let me just go back to the start. I've built something called NicoMuayThai.com, and it's all Muay Thai. It's all my tutorials from beginners to advanced to my level of fighting. All the stuff that I've learned from all my life, going all different camps, all different gyms in Thailand, training with all different champions. The stuff that I've learned is all on that website, and it's still getting updated weekly. From beginner stuff, how your stance should be, where your feet positioning should be for Muay Thai, where your hands should be, to basics, how to throw your kick properly, how to punch properly, where your hands should be, etc. To then going on to a little bit more advanced, even beginner clinching, advanced clinching, throws, trips, kicking, blocking properly, everything. Tricky techniques, power techniques, how to fight a southpaw. Everything is on that community. And I say community because it's a thing where you don't just click on videos, but everybody who subscribes can all interact with each other as well. So it's a pretty good thing going right now. It's fresh, but I can see it taking off.
People enjoy going to the gym, but people also enjoy learning on their own, as you do yourself.
Exactly.
So why not have something where someone can sit down and watch and be like, see that move he done? Like I was watching one of you, must have been last night, you put on your social media, and it's just a wee inside trip you do as you pass them. Like, and I had to watch it again.
It's very fast. That's what I wrote in the caption.
Just the little touch of the foot, just to throw them off balance.
Watch your fight a southpaw on it.
If you're looking for it, then we'll put a link in there and join the community. Like these are the places where people can learn from world champions. See
the thing is like you never know who you're going. Like when it comes to fight sport, I would never have known my coach if it wasn't for Muay Thai. That's where I bumped into the person that was going to train me for the rest of my life, and somebody who's very close to me was through Muay Thai. So these people never know how close someone on that community might be to them. That might be somebody you can go link up with, and that's your new sparring partner, and you just go on and fucking take over the world together. You never know. It's just taking the first step.
You can meet up at a gym anywhere as well. That's
exactly.
You can bump into them anywhere.
And I think what people like about the community as well is I'm on it and I'm doing monthly Q&As.
Yep.
So stuff that I wouldn't do on Instagram, people are getting to actually pick my brains, and I'm going on the community and I'm answering people's questions via video and stuff like that as well. So they're getting the chance to talk.
How much would you have loved that when you started, eh?
So it's something I say in the intro as well, was I didn't have this opportunity when I first started, and I would have fucking loved that. So
you'd have capitalised on it, because like you say, you are a learner. Are
you going to use stuff from your conditioning coach?
So I'm going to go into it. more. I've still got so much Muay Thai techniques to put out there, but I'm going to probably dive into nutrition. I'm going to dive into strength and conditioning workouts, how to build explosive power, how to build all that will go on it in time.
That's beautiful, man.
Well, you've got a lot on your plate by the sounds of things.
I do. Mate,
you're a busy man.
Mate, just all of a sudden, I feel like just the last few months is the busiest I've ever been in my life. And I fucking feel like a bit of a scatterbrain. I know I keep forgetting things. I'm building a wee sauna at my back. So I've got people I'm working all the time. And I keep forgetting to fucking order materials. And I'm fucking naked to the t-shirt. Mate, the only thing I never forget, my own training. And I never will.
Is there a mode of training you enjoy out with Ty?
Yes.
What is it?
Running.
Just being out there running and
I love all different types of running. I love ultra running, but for example, this morning we done 20 reps of 240 metres on, 20 reps 240 metres off.
240 metres
on, but it's on trails.
Right.
So you're running hard as you can for 240 metres, then you're 240 metres recovering, but it's on trails. So your 240 metres might be on an incline, or your recovery, even worse, might be on an incline, so you're not really recovering. So that was this morning session. I like to just change my sessions up from like, I rarely actually, recently I've not really been going out just slow plodding running. Right now everything's been quite explosive and stuff right now, but I love the feeling you get from, obviously from Thai boxing, but the question was out with that.
Yep.
The feeling you get from like after a hard, fast run is the only time that you feel like
everything's getting used
and free. It's it sounds cheesy. It's as close to flying as you'll get when you go into that kind of flow state and you're just fucking pinging it and you feel strong and you feel fast and you look at your watch and fucking hell, I'm running fast right now and I feel good. Do you know what I mean? So,
and then you're outside in the wild.
Exactly. And even better if Callie comes with us, my dog Springer. She comes out all the runs with us as well.
Is she? Must be super fit.
Oh, she's fucking solid.
That backfired on me. I get my dog super fit. It came out running with me a few times, and then when I was taking a walk, it wasn't actually getting enough. So I know the feeling. I ended up training my dog too well, and I was like, I'm going to have to stop.
I know the feeling. I've done that as well.
Massive backfire.
You need to fucking take him out 4 hours a day instead of one.
Is there MD you'd like to thank? We're obviously coming to the end of the podcast. We're aware that you've got your own stuff to be getting on with, but it's been an absolute eye opener. Is there any sponsors, MD, out there you want to thank?
Fucking be here all day. All my sponsors, all my loyal sponsors. A lot of the sponsors I have actually been with me since I was fighting in small arenas. So
that's nice.
I'll say just first names here. Ross, obviously my Commando Ross, Sean, Roscoe. I don't want to miss any out here, but all my sponsors, the names that I said have been with me since I was young. All my new sponsors that have came on. I want to thank my fiance. I could not do any of this without her. She's my absolute rock. She turned me into the person you see today. And she gives me a why. She keeps me motivated. The reason I do all this is for her. Thank you to my coach, JP. We are single-handedly taking over the world together. And all my teammates who fucking suffer with me every day.
Beautiful, man. Absolutely love it. The love and respect that you've got for your team is beautiful. And you've touched on that. Like sometimes
if you don't have respect, you've got nothing, man.
Like for me, it was like my group of training partners and friends was massive. And then it starts to slowly dwindle down. Like I'm 36 and can count in one hand the people that I trust. Because the last thing you want is getting cut up, or the last thing you want is somebody trying to score on you and just taking liberties. That's the last thing you want. But no, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an eye-opener, and we will be behind you. We will be behind you when you get that.
I'll be for sure watching.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
Cheers, buddy.
Guys, as always, keep it high.
Thank you.